Today's show is sponsored in part by Race Deck. Over 2 decades ago, Race Deck was invented, a cost-effective, durable, and truly do-it-yourself modular floor system engineered for the garage. Race Deck's multi-patented design allows for an easy installation without all the hassles and mess of toxic epoxy coatings, transforming your garage in just hours, not days. You can choose from over 20 styles. It can handle vehicle rolling loads in excess of 80,000 pounds. It will not chip, peel, or stain. Over 33 patents within the product line, 20 styles, countless, even more color options. Patented self-draining understructure allows liquids and moisture to flow freely, eliminating odor, causing mold and mildew. Race Deck manufactures 24/7 and ships most orders within 48 hours. Race Deck is the original USA-made, multi-patented modular flooring system engineered for the garage. Invented in 1997 by car enthusiasts for car enthusiasts. Shop at racedeck.com, racedeck.com, and use code SPIKE911 for an exclusive 15% off and free shipping. That's 15% off and free shipping. Spike911, racedeck.com. Let's start the show.
Spike's Car Radio starts now.
What are all these noises?
Let's see. Shut this off.
That's his mood music.
That's Jay Leno's mood music.
And stop it.
This is an interesting start to a podcast.
I mean, this podcast is basically Ode to Joy. No, wait. It's Ode to... Ode to many things.
Well, thanks for agreeing to do the show with us today.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming.
This is a unique one. We're inside a very special car. Why don't you tell everybody what we're in?
Well, this is a 2024 Rolls Spectra, the first electric Rolls Royce. Having worked for Rolls at one time, I was always sort of fascinated. You know, when I worked for the company, it was the 70s and 80s when they were emissions strangled, and they really were not up to the, you know, they used to have that ad. At 60 miles an hour, the only thing you hear is the ticking of the clock. And then I realized, well, they just have a really loud clock. You know, it's not the, it was a General Motors transmission, it was frigid air conditioning. It wasn't the, you know, this is what a Rolls Royce is supposed to be. That's what I like about it. Plus, I bought it because it's a single-purpose vehicle. You know, I bought the P1 and the F1 because of the ultimate performance car. Okay. I like single-purpose cars. I don't like an SUV that also handles, that also you can eat in and watch a movie. And, you know, I like a truck to be a truck, a car to be a car, an SUV to SUV, and this to be a luxury car. This is like sort of the P1 or the F1 of the luxury car market, if that makes any sense.
And it's unique here to see it driving in Burbank. Not really the most luxurious part of Los Angeles.
Well, this part of Burbank.
But I think you need this peace of mind, this quiet, this smoothness here.
Oh, yeah.
This is the perfect place to test this car, actually.
Yeah, you look like you're collecting the rent. Come on, lady. Please, Mr. Leno, get out, get out. I've got someone else rent it for $3 more.
Well, that's what I was saying. What I like about the Spectre, all Rolls Royces, is that the rest of the world just kind of disappears. So, like, this industrial portion of Burbank, like, who cares? Not our problem, not our concern.
Yes, that's what you want. Yeah.
This, you know, Car and Driver gave this car a 10 out of 10.
Who? You mean Motor Trend?
No, Car and Driver, Johnny.
Don't read them.
Don't.
Well, really, I didn't notice that. I'm surprised I didn't know that.
They said absolutely silent inside. And I think the listeners can probably hear that right now. There's a bit of a different sound, but it's absolutely quiet. Highest level of fit and finish, makes the same high-end statement as gas-powered Rolls Royces. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sure. Plus, to me, it's the best-looking Rolls in a long time.
Yeah, it's very. But they did have some complaints. They said less driving range than other high-dollar EVs.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because, I mean, I have a Tesla, and I drive it as a performance car, so I really get around 260, 240, 250, you know. And this one I drive as a luxury car, and I get around 240, 250, 260. And the thing is, this car weighs over 3 tons. So when you get off the throttle and you're on regen, it just puts miles back into it. You know, I was when I went up to the crest with it, and I had like 100 miles by the time I got up, 100 miles left. And I came down 175, 180 miles. I picked up 75, 80 miles just coming down the crest.
Just on regen.
I mean, I like the fact that it's, no way you're going to say a Rolls Royce is efficient because you could make it more. But I mean, the fact that you're sort of, you can run it on sustainable fuels if you choose to, like solar, as we do at the garage, or when you use regen, you're just putting more battery back into it. So I find that kind of fascinating.
And if I could argue with Car and Driver for a second, there's nothing comparable. Like, yeah, there are some EVs that cost a lot, but nothing's even close to how expensive this is.
You know, Johnny, but they gave it a 10 out of 10. I think they have that little line, pros, and then they have cons.
Oh,
I think they just had to...
I know the template. We have the same template.
They just had to put something in there.
No, I know, but it's like, come on. Like,
but don't you agree? If you're going to give something 10 out of 10, wouldn't you leave the cons blank?
Leave them blank, or you be cute with them. You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
Yeah, like, I couldn't. You know, it was hard to find peasant crushing mode in the suspension.
There's no Nadia Comaneci run with a mistake in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Car and Driver.
Yeah.
0 to 60, 4.2 seconds in this car, and wheel size affects mileage in it. Apparently.
Right. If you go to the 19s, you're probably going to get 20 or 30 miles more.
Don't go to the 19s, Jay.
It's between 23s and 22s. We might have to turn the AC up a little bit.
I believe there's
getting a little stuffy.
You've got your own side, Spike.
Oh, I can do that myself.
Yeah. You've got your own.
Is there a 19 wheel option? I'm not sure.
This? No way.
No. I guess it is. It is.
It would be 22. Would be the small wheel.
Well,
so what do you use this car for other than podcasting?
Just podcasting.
Well, when I want to just take a drive, you know. As I said, every other car I've ever bought, I bought strictly for performance. I've never bought a car for any other reason other than, I mean, I bought the Tesla because, yes, I'm saving the planet, blah, blah, blah. But it's also the fastest accelerating, at least when it came out, fastest accelerating four-door sedan that you could buy, and one of the fastest cars in the world that you could buy. I mean, the fact that a Rimac is 2.7 million, and it's only like a tenth of a second faster than this, which is now $90,000. I bought my Tesla Plaid when it came out. I think I paid $130, and now they're $90,000. I mean, that's efficient manufacturing, don't you think?
Yeah. Are you still enjoying that car?
Yeah, I like that car very much. I like it a lot.
It's a terrific car. Where are we going? We're now getting on what, the 5 here?
This is the 5.
This is the 5. Well, we're just...
And you're going to show us what this thing can do.
Well, just
we're going to Silmar.
I think just how quiet it is.
Yeah, it's silent in here. It really is silent. It's very nice.
Because most cars at 60 miles an hour, you get some sort of wind whistle or something.
Right. And there it goes. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good torque.
Yeah, good torque.
But I mean, electric is the perfect application for a Rolls Royce, right? You increase torque, you decrease noise and vibration and smell.
All right, and of course, you know, in a lot of European cities, you cannot drive a gas car into the city center.
Yeah.
This you can.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to get more and more common. You know, Norway, next year, they're going to ban the sale of new internal combustion vehicles.
Is that right?
Yeah, 25. China is going to probably be like 27, 28 that'll happen. EU's probably going to try for 2030. So, you know, having
you know, I think all that's going to be moved ahead a good 5 years.
Because Not China, because why would they? You know, they just say, you're only allowed to buy this.
Right.
You're only allowed to listen to this, eat this, dress like this. So, yeah, the U.S., we're going to be dragging our heels, of course.
Why do you think that, Jay?
Well, because everybody wants an EV, has bought one. Now the hard work comes is convincing people who are not EV people to get one of these. I mean, when the Ford Lightning came out, oh my God, they were 10 grand, 15 grand over sticker. I gotta get that Lightning, you gotta get that electric truck, it's great. But there are truck guys that are just truck guys, and then there are truck guys that are moderates. Oh, I'll try the electric. And the people, everybody I know that bought a Lightning loves it. The people that haven't bought it don't want one, you know, so that's kind of where you are.
Now, you recently had a very special car on your YouTube channel. You had the president's limousine. What do they call that thing?
The Beast.
The Beast.
Well, it's called the Beast. I don't know if anybody even internally calls it the Beast. It's a presidential limo. It's so funny. It's just how partisan everything is. I'm surprised you let a car that Biden sat in your garage, man. And I go, well, Trump also sat in it. It's the same car. Hello, thank you.
Obama sat in it.
Obama sat in it. Was Obama in this one?
Yeah, I think Obama took this. Yeah, I think he did. We can fact check that.
But is there only one? Is there only a single?
No, there's a couple.
Bunch.
There's a bunch of them because they have decoys and,
I see.
and all that. Yeah.
So we don't know for sure that they all sat in it. Here's something. Look at this with Dazzle all over.
Oh.
What is that?
Well, I see those.
Is an Audi.
You don't see those? I see them all over town.
Yeah.
Which Audi, though?
That looks to me.
It screws up your photography.
That's a Q4.
Look, there's another one right here.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always see these guys out testing.
What are they testing here in the 5? It looks like they're just driving.
Well, they're doing emissions. That's a gas car, so they're doing emissions runs.
Yeah.
But they do a whole loop. They wind up on Angeles Crest. They go down to Death Valley.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't look like much of a test. Look at the guy.
Well,
Two of them.
they're not doing limit testing. They're doing So, Jay, did you
You
get
sound
to...
like your mother. It doesn't look like much of a test. You see the car for 6 seconds. Well, it doesn't look like much of a test for me. That's what my mother would do. Your mother go, oh, I don't think, knows nothing about it, but no, I don't think I would go for that. No, I don't really think that's a test at all.
Doesn't look like a test to me, Michael. I want to know more about the limousine, though, so tell me what you learned about it. I mean, I watched the video.
Well, you can't really learn much about it. You can't open the door.
They wouldn't let you open the door?
No. I've ridden with the vice president. When Biden was vice president, I rode in that limo, but that was not as secure as this. It is so top secret.
Do you know what's so top secret about it?
I don't know whether it's diesel or gas. I don't know whether it's hybrid or not. I think you can live for 3 days in the thing.
Because I think
it's got enough oxygen, air, and water.
I always heard it's based off an Escalade platform.
No, I believe it's a purpose-built vehicle.
Wow. But you can live for 3 days in it.
Well, I mean, if it was in a foreign country and the car came under attack, you can throw bombs at it all day long. You're not going to damage the thing. Yeah.
Is there a bathroom in it? There must be a way if you're going to live there.
There's a Gatorade bottle.
I don't know.
Can you cook?
I think they have everything they need.
MRIs.
Should the worst possible things happen,
See if you can lower that mic just a little bit. You're still pinning. It's on your other side there. I think it's right there.
Why don't you put it where you want?
Okay, let me try.
So
look, Mo,
quick Google search. Trump was the first one to be in that beast.
Okay, pin it where you want it.
Let's try putting it right here. See how that works.
Okay.
This is a unique situation for Spike's Car Radio.
I really like the Secret Service guys.
That's much better.
We used to have them. They would come to the Tonight Show when Bush was on, and when Obama and whoever was president was on, and you always try to make them laugh, and you can't crack them. They don't break. They're very professional, but nice guys.
They're big car fans. We have them in my neighborhood because they're always protecting the vice president who lives nearby.
Right.
And I like to drive whatever I'm driving right up to the roadblock and the metal detectors to let them see the cars, and they always love them.
Right.
They're big fans. So what did you do in the video? Did they come on and they just said we can't tell you about this?
Well, just the fact that we got it here.
Yeah.
I mean, the transporter landed right near my garage. It comes out of the transporter. That's what it's used to take it around the country. They drove it here to show it to us. Obviously, we can't be saying, "Oh, it can only withstand this much of a bullet."
Right.
I mean, you can't do that. You can't.
You could, but you shouldn't.
You can't even. Oh no, you can't joke around at all.
Right.
I mean, nothing. I mean, it's just. No, it was a huge honor to get it here. So
yeah,
we were thrilled.
All right, let's talk about Muscle Butter. Muscle Butter is nature's answer to your pain, made with just 6 clean ingredients used by top athletes like Spike Ferriston. Across the world for its effectiveness and natural formulation. No chemicals, synthetic junk, or medicinal smells. Muscle Butter won't get in between you and your bedtime buddy. Muscle Butter does not numb pain. Instead, it works by stopping inflammation in its tracks. Great for annoying aches, mysterious bruises, which I have after tennis. I've been using it. Makes things go away way faster. Swollen ankles, pesky pains, and whatever else Zuckerman can get sued for, or can sue you for, I see. Even if you don't have pain right now, it's great to keep around the house. Try it today, Muscle Butter, and use code SPIKE911 for 20% off your order and a 100% money-back guarantee if you don't love it, but we know you will. Go to musclebutterusa.com and try it today. Use code SPIKE911 for 20% off your order and a 100% money-back guarantee if you don't love it, but we know you will. Back to the Rolls.
Well, we have lots of questions for you, Jay.
Go ahead.
The listeners are
All right, what kind of question?
going nuts. They want to know so much about what you're doing with your cars. A popular question, though, do you ever drive the Ford Shogun? Auto Kennel, Paul from Auto Kennel, is saying he's never seen you out in it.
Oh, there's videos of me out there. I just haven't had it out. You know what it is? The air compressor. I mean the compressor for the air conditioning unit is unique, and it broke, and you just can't find one. I just can't get one.
So you have to like remanufacture it.
Yeah, so it's a little too hot to drive around on a 100-degree day. But it's a fun car. It's when it came out, that was like one of the fastest cars you could get. It was 1989.
Yeah, wow.
And, the Corvette only had 350 horsepower, and that is about 1,000 pounds lighter, and it had 300 horsepower.
What is that car you arrived in this morning when we drove in together?
That was a 2002 Firebird. Back in 2002, it was the last year of the Firebird, and it was the pace car at Daytona. And we got to drive all the various Firebirds around. And they said, "Oh, we'll give you one of the pace cars." But it was this horrible mustard color,
Mm-hmm.
I went, how about the blue one over there? Yeah, okay. You want the blue one? Yeah, okay, fine. It's a great car. It really is. It's a four-seater Corvette, basically.
And that's the 350?
Yeah, 350.
Nice.
I was always more partial to the Firebird over the Camaro.
Really?
Well, I always thought Pontiac has had of course Chevrolet always has a performance background, but they really worked hard to make Pontiac the high performance arm, especially the 60s, 70s, and
Sure.
80s, so they all seem to, and they're rarer than a Camaro,
Right.
every guy in New Jersey with a ducktail's got a Camaro, so.
You've really arrived at the point where people are just giving you cars, aren't they? They just call you up and they say, "Here, I've got something." You showed us another one this morning where that happened.
What was that?
It was a limousine of some kind.
Oh yeah, well that was a friend of mine.
But he gave you the car.
Yeah, I'm not at that point, Spike.
Neither of us are at the
no one's
point
giving me
of
cars.
We get them for a week, maybe.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
But no one says,
Well,
"Here,
well,
I want you
You
to
want to
take
be
this."
rude and turn them down.
What if it's a really bad car? Like, what if, you know what I mean?
It's like pizza. There's no bad
What
car.
if someone's like, "Hey, look, here's a 2014 Toyota RAV4, and it needs a little work."
I think if it had the right story, Jay would say yes to it. You always struck me as a story
Yeah,
guy.
I like the story thing. Plus, the RAV4 is a great car.
Spike's about to jump out the window.
I
don't mind a RAV4. I considered a RAV4.
My doctor
I mind a RAV4.
inherited his dad was a working guy, and his dad worked his whole life, and he was so proud of the fact that he bought a Mercedes E320 in 1999. And it was the only new car his dad had. His dad passed away, and it had 160,000 miles on it, and he didn't really want to get rid of it. And I said, "Well, bring it to the guy." We tuned it up and changed the oil, and it needs some motor mounts, a few other things. But it's a lot of fun when you find a car that has a real story or a real history, And people really bond with their automobiles. I always find that fascinating because I'll buy the story as much as I buy the car. If the car's got a really great story, well, that just makes it interesting.
It does. It does. All right. A few folks wanted to know, what is the least favorite car in your collection? The one you like the least?
Well, kind of a funny story. I've got a Delahaye, and
Oh yeah, Delahaye's suck.
no, listen, but this is funny. It's a Delahaye race car, and the guy sent me a picture of himself standing next to it. I said, "Oh, that guy's about my height, you know. Let's go." So he wanted, it was one of those moments where I've started the Tonight Show, I was making some money. Yeah, I'm going to buy this thing, you know. So I buy it, and then I get it here, and I realize, oh, that guy's like 5'2". I thought he was my height. I thought he was 6 feet tall, and I don't really fit in it. And it's so hot. Oh my God. You know, and in the dead of winter, I'll take it out in shirt sleeves and I'm sweating and people going, look at that guy, macho guy. No, the car is so hot. You just throw so much heat. So I'm not crazy about it.
So there it is.
Plus that Delahaye 6 is really kind of like a 6-cylinder Chevy motor. Nothing particularly unusual. No twin cam or 4-valve or any of that.
You know,
stuff.
Spike, this is like when we asked they asked us what our least favorite cars were.
Yeah.
And Zuckerman said the V10 Audi R8. Worst car you ever owned.
Really? You know, see, see, I drove one of those with a manual gearbox, and I loved it.
No, his was the single clutch automated manual. But it was just the funny, like, what's the worst car you own? Oh, a Delahaye.
Well,
worst caviar ever.
Well, it was built as sort of a replica Delahaye. It wasn't really what it was.
Sure.
It should have been, but yeah.
And hey, it very well might be the car you like the least. It's a funny answer from the plebeian backseat view.
Well, I mean, I still have it, you know, but see, I like all kinds of cars. I love Corvairs, you know.
Oh, I'm losing, wherever we are, I'm losing my phone, and I can't look at the questions. You might have to...
but you have to think on your own.
Spin it around. Well, the listener, there were about hundreds of questions that I promised to get to.
We'll be at a hill.
Look, I've got nothing.
We'll be up at a hill in a minute here. Let me get up to there.
I remember one. I don't remember who asked it, but it was, what are your plans for like the eventual Jay Leno museum?
Not my problem.
Question. Not my problem, Claus.
You know, people say, oh, museum. You know, I knew Peter Mullen.
Yes.
And he built that fabulous museum out there in Oxnard.
Amazing.
And it was going to stand for 100 years.
It should have.
And it was funded and endowed. Yeah. He died within 2 weeks. The cars were sold. The building.
Right.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
Right.
Well, if you have kids and they don't like cars, I get that. I don't expect people to always have the same interests as their parents or something. But I just thought it was, you know, it takes a lot of money to run a museum. Mm-hmm. And when it's not an income producing thing, the money just gets drained. And if you're a family member and you're working stiff, well, having a museum is not, it's not what you
right.
Is it too late for you to adopt us?
I was going to say, yeah.
I mean, because, you know.
I was thinking of getting out of the car right now. So the idea of adopting you guys is about as far from like, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, the museum to me is a gross idea. It's obviously a tax shelter, but cars just sitting there.
Right. Plus, having a museum in California, oh my God! You know, I talked to he owned the LA Times, Otis Chandler.
Otis Chandler.
He had his museum. He regretted making a museum because
he did.
The government comes by like once a month and checks how many people have been here. Do you have 9 bathrooms, 6 of them handicapped, or 3. All fluids must be drained if people are being walked through. You have to have stanchions around you. I mean, there's so many rules and regulations that it's almost impossible to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, and isn't it nice to put these things back out into the world so somebody else can enjoy them?
Yeah, totally. It gets sold and it gets bought by enthusiasts, and that's nice. That's fun, yeah.
Do you think there's ever going to be a point where the world has been filled up with too many cars? Look at the snake that's crossing the road right there.
Oh, that was my agent.
The perfect Rolls Royce ride.
Yeah.
Just snakes.
Well,
Burbank.
I think you're at that point now, aren't we? Well, pretty much.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, there was a point where the GT3, the novelty of that car coming into the collector garage was pretty cool. But now they're just making them a lot, and now we're getting lots and lots of GT3s.
Well, that's the most. That really makes me laugh. That answer here. Most people have never seen a GT3.
Really?
Yes, I mean I've told this.
outside of LA,
I've told this story a million times. I had a big Hollywood celebrity on, and we're talking. And during the break, he says to me, "Hey, you like sports cars? What you like?" I said, "Well, you know, this new Ferrari that just came out." He goes, "Nah, everybody's got a Ferrari." I go, okay. I said, "First of all, if you ever say that, you'll be taken out and you'll be beaten to death. Most people have never seen a Ferrari. You know, drive through Gary, Indiana. Let me know how many GT3s you see. You know, drive through the Midwest."
Well, yeah, of course, but that's not what I meant. I just meant with collectors, people who collect these things.
Well, again,
how many do you end up needing?
I always bristle at the word collector, but I realize I guess I am because I don't sell anything. But I like to think every one of my vehicles is on a C-Tech battery charger because I use them all. And I run them and I drive them.
Right.
So when I think of collector, I think people who don't, they never, you know, they never drive it, you know. I mean, boasting it, Ferrari only has 600 miles. I've owned it 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. And I imagine your wife is a virgin as well, correct? Yes, that's good. You know, you want to save her for the next guy, you know, whatever. I don't, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Where are we now? What is this on the left?
We're in like outer Silmars.
Well, we're going, gentlemen, you two gentlemen will be donating your organs later. You don't know this, but that's how I got this
We
role.
did just drive through a cemetery.
And this intersection here is used for drifting.
David, my producer, used to live right up there.
David's in the car with us.
That's right.
Don't say anything.
The
David.
producer behind.
Blink
Yeah.
twice.
Great Jay Leno's Garage channel and show.
And director well, does a great job.
Director.
And a car guy. It's important you got to be a car guy.
He just got a new Panamera hybrid.
Yeah, that's right.
Or slightly used.
To me, there's nothing funnier. You know, I always, when reporters from New York come out to talk about the cars, I know this is going to be work. Because I was showing my motorcycle, right? And I've got this Brush Superior motorcycle with a sidecar on it. The sidecar is kind of streamlined, right? And I said, "You know what that is?" The guy goes, "Yeah, I know." I said, "Oh, okay." So then the article goes out and it says, "Jay Leno has a motorcycle with a canoe attached." Okay, no, it's not a canoe. I just assumed he knew what a sidecar was. No idea.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, "Do you know what a Bro Superior is?" I was
Yeah.
like, he's not going to know that either.
Lots of listeners want to know what your taproot car is. The very first thing that Jay Leno saw with wheels where you went, you know, I think I'm going to cozy up to this.
Actually, the first thing I saw with wheels, I was like 5 or 6 years old. We were living in New York City, and my cousin Mona was dating a policeman, and he had a Harley, and he drove it to our house, and it was like a 56 Harley.
Very good year for Harleys.
With the pan, and it had the two-piece windshield where it's dark green in the middle and clear at the top, you know.
Yeah.
And it had a girl on it with, you know, with a hand on her head wearing not a bikini, a two-piece, like boop, boop, be doo, oh, one of those kind of pictures, you know?
Yeah.
So I saw the motorcycle, and my mother thought I was looking at the girl, and I said, "Get away from me, get away." I want to look at, no, you're not looking at that girl, get away from there. I go, "Ma, I don't care about the girl, I want to look at the motorcycle." And she wouldn't let me, but to me, I just thought that was the coolest motorcycle. And I thought, oh man, to have something like that someday, that'd be really neat. So that was probably the first vehicle that really, but I remember our first car, my dad had I was brought home from the hospital in a 49 Plymouth. And the first new car my dad bought was a 57 Plymouth four-door black and white from Crabtree Motors in New Rochelle, New York. So I'm pretty cognizant of all the vehicles we've had.
New Rochelle.
Yeah.
But did that make you like because I was young, like my dad had a 280Z. It was kind of like, even though I was like a very young age, I knew it was like sporty.
Right.
You know, and I think he had a Triumph. I know he had, I don't know if I remember it, but he had Triumphs before that. But, you know, he had this 280Z and it was orange. And even as a little kid, like under the age of 5, I loved it just because it looked cooler than the other car.
Right. Yeah.
So like 57 Plymouth, you know, not the you know, especially in '57, it wasn't the coolest car.
No, but my dad was not a car guy.
Yeah.
I remember my Uncle Tony. My dad was 20 years older than his youngest brother.
Got it.
So, you know, it was Italian family, you know. And my Uncle Tony, who was the youngest, was like he was an artist, and he painted and did all these things, you know. And he bought a Renault Dauphine, you know,
nice.
little 1960 Renault Dauphine.
Wow.
And
Oh,
it had,
weirdo.
And it had the two horns, the city horn, beep beep, and the country horn, beep beep, you know.
Yeah.
And he brought it to show my dad, and my dad was like, first, what kind of car is this for man to drive? It's not a man's. This is a toy. This is a toy. This is not a real car. You're going to get killed in this thing driving this stupid thing. You know, because he was like a father to my Uncle Tony, who was 20. Right. And it just made me laugh. And my mother thinking, what kind of thing is that for a man to drive? He just couldn't believe my uncle bought a Renault Dauphine.
I need to drop some new batteries in here. We just burned through a whole fresh set.
Okay, let me pull over.
Hold that thought. We have to talk about Blue Chew, a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made proudly in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, afternoon, morning, brunch, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Check it out. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for you listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code SPIKE911 at checkout. You just pay the $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code SPIKE911 to receive your first month free. Free Blue Chew. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast and this drive in the Rolls Royce. Just wondering where that is.
The blinker is this noise.
That's nice. My Ford Bronco has a giant blinker noise. Really loud.
Yeah.
What is the point of that?
Well, I guess it's kind of an open air vehicle, and you have to be, you know.
When the top's off at 80 miles an hour and you put on the
I see.
Or you leave on the turn signal.
Yes. Jay, have you ever had a car that got away from you? Bruce B wants to know.
Yes, I drove the Carrera GT. We went down to Talladega, and we were trying to do 100 laps on 190 miles an hour. And on like the last lap, I'm coming around. I'm doing about 192, 193. And the guy gives me this signal, you know, like, okay, good. So as I see him, like, put his finger across his neck, you know, like, that's it. I go, okay. And I lifted my foot off the throttle, and the ass end came around. Just spun 8 times down the center of the track. Tore up all 4 tires.
Wow. That was a scary accident. I remember reading about that.
Yeah, actually you can see it on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think, though, our friend Bruce is asking about cars that you were trying to buy. A car that you were trying to buy that got away.
Oh. Well, it's interesting. You know, I always bought cars to drive. I know that sounds silly, but as opposed to collection.
Totally.
And I was always fascinated by Voisin. Voisin was an aeronautical engineer who started at the dawn of the air age. You know, he was contemporary of Charles of the Wright brothers, and they would throw rocks at each other because the Wright brothers, although the first to fly a plane, Voisin was the first guy to stand next to a plane, pull the prop, start the engine, get in the plane, take off, fly in a big circle, and land in the same place. So he considered himself the first person to fly an airplane, and as opposed to having guys run with it and throw it and then it lands, you know. So, and he built cars using aeronautical technology of the day combined with Art Deco. But he built sleeve valve engines. Now, if you don't know what a sleeve valve engine is, that's where the cylinder turns and the piston goes up and down while the cylinder turns. And the cylinder has cutouts at the top. As the cylinder turns one way, it lets the fuel in. it turns back, it seals it as a combustion chamber, it fires, and as the piston starts down, the cylinder turns this way, and the gas goes out. The advantage to that was extremely quiet and pretty reliable.
Plus blue smoke.
Yeah, plus a lot of blue smoke.
Yeah.
A lot of blue smoke. And they were slow. And the guy had one for sale for $125,000. It's like 25 years ago. And I went and I drove it. I just hated it. Sitting at the light, people give me the finger. You know, it was in Santa Barbara. It was like, hey, buddy, your car's smoking. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're polluting. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. And I thought, oh, man. So I didn't buy it. Now that same car thing sold for like $2 million.
Oh, at least. Wow.
Not long ago, yeah. But I think I did the right thing because it wasn't fun to drive. It was great to look at, and it had all these aeronautical kind of touches.
Which one was it? Which Volkswagen? Like C25?
Yeah, like a C20. Just nothing special. You know, four-door. I mean,
right.
You know, it wasn't like the really swoopy two-door with, the roof that rolls back.
No.
Oh,
the C28.
Yeah, C28 is fantastic.
Arturo Keller has one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I flipped out when I saw it.
Wonderful car.
Yeah.
So that would be a car I passed on.
There's another question about how you balanced the Tonight Show and the driving hobby. And I think what they're getting at is, how did you integrate your car driving into a busy work week like that?
Well, I always drive something interesting too. I take a different car to the Tonight Show every day. In fact, if you ever see that famous footage of, remember Trump with his grab him by the pussy thing? Remember that whole thing?
Yeah. How could we forget it?
Well, but you see my Doble steam car right next to the bus. He pulled up right next to my Doble.
Oh, no
steam
kidding!
Car. So you can see my 1925 Doble steam car right there.
You're a piece of history there.
Yeah, a piece of history. That's right. Yeah. So
presidential history.
That was kind of cool.
So how many cars would you keep at the house versus
just whatever I drove home that night?
Whatever you drove home.
Yeah.
Would you ever go from the studio to come here to Burbank and get a car and bring it back to drive the next day? Or?
Sometimes they do that, especially with like a really antique car, like a steam car, which I wouldn't drive all the way from my house, but I drive it from my garage in Burbank to the studio in Burbank.
Were you ever bringing cars to the show to show guests, or was it just...
Oh, yeah, because a lot of times you had guests that, hey, bring that, you know, I remember the last James Bond.
Pierce Brosnan.
No, not Pierce Brosnan.
Sean Connery.
Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig was interested in...
Sean Connery.
He wanted an SM, a Citroen.
Oh, he has very good taste.
So I said, I'll bring you mine. I'll show it to you. And I brought that for him to show him.
I've never forgotten sitting in your Citroen. It's like a nice, comfortable living room couch in the back there.
Yeah.
You know, it's fascinating. French cars are so different. And there's no reason for it to be. Like, if you go to anywhere else in Europe, almost all cars are built in horrible industrial areas. You know, Stuttgart, Wolfsburg, Detroit. No, what I mean?
No. I know. I've been to parts of Stuttgart that are so beautiful. But I know what you mean. They're industrial centers.
Industrial centers.
Yeah.
Whereas French cars are built in Paris.
Yeah.
You know, the city of lights, city of architecture.
No, the factory's literally in the city of Paris.
Right, that's what I mean. So there's a different. For example, anywhere else you go in Europe, you go Germany, you go Spain, you go England. It's 6 millimeter, 8 millimeter, 10 millimeter. You go to France and it's 7 millimeter, 9 millimeter, 11. Everything is just a little bit different. French gauges, you pull them out to turn them off.
Right.
As opposed to you get an American car, pull the light switch out. Oh, okay. An American car, straight up and down, the key is off. You turn it to the right to start it. French car, you turn it to the right to turn it off, to straight up. Everything's completely the opposite. I don't know why that is, whether it's just they like to be contrary, but I find that
part of it is not being English. You know, it's a big part. Like, how'd they do it? Do the opposite.
Right.
Or not being German.
Right.
That's part of it. They must have really struggled with which side of the road do we drive on?
Well, there are two schools of thought on that, actually, because the one I've heard, and I think there's some credence to this, when they broke with the Church of, when Church of England broke away, they told the Pope, the only way they could differentiate their religion was, when you come to England, you're on the other side. That's our rule. So when the Pope and anybody visited, they had to have their wagon on the other side of the road. And that's why I don't know how true that is, but I think it kind of makes sense.
Okay.
Keith Refused wants to know, what's the most driven car in your garage, Mr. Leno? What is the one that you think you've driven the most times, chosen the most times, driven home the most times?
Well, recently it's probably the Tesla Plaid. But a second, and nobody would guess this, would be my Countach. I've got 60 or 70,000 miles on that thing. I've owned it since '87, and it was my everyday car for a long time. And it just shows you, if you actually use those cars for their intended purposes, that they will last as long as anything. The biggest problem with most supercars is people park them, batteries go dead. If it's carbureted, gasoline sits in the float bowl, and then sediment gums up the jets, and then it doesn't run right. And then you get, I'm not taking that. I don't know if it'll start. And that's what happens. If you use them continuously, they will last a long time. And you know, it's so funny because you open a Countach in 1986. Oh my God, this is the most complicated thing I've ever seen. You open it now, and look, distributors are right there.
It's very
Everything.
simple.
It's pretty simple actually. Yeah, the belts are easy to get to. I mean, yeah, it's not complicated at all.
Is that did you just make a video with that car? On YouTube?
Not on mine. It's up now. That a friend of mine has the 25th anniversary Countach, and we did his. Yeah.
86 is when they switched to fuel injection.
Right.
Okay.
And it's so fun because when I got mine, I demanded carbureted cars because the carbureted car had more horsepower than the fuel injection.
Right.
But the fuel injection was better for emissions and whatnot. But at the time, fuel injection was like, what? I mean, the thing I like about old cars is I got gas here in my hand, and I got a spark here in my other hand. If I get these two together, I can get the car to run.
Right.
So if I pour gas where the spark is, i.e. carburetor, it'll probably start.
Right.
And it always does. With fuel injection, it's like, well, what am I doing here? I'm tracing wires, or, you know.
Right.
You know, I always say mechanical stuff breaks, electrical stuff degrades. And when something degrades, I can look at a fuel pump and see it's leaking. The diaphragm went. That's the problem with it. But with a relay, how do you know if it's bad?
Right. You got to assume it's bad.
Yeah, you just have to assume it.
Does it say Bosch? Okay.
You can't. You can't fix a relay.
Right.
All you can do is replace it.
Yeah.
And that's what so much of mechanics is now. They just replace. You know, a friend of mine called me, and she had a Jaguar, an XJ6. And she said, oh, it needs a new transmission. I said, so how long you had it? She said, like 4 years. How many miles on it? 38,000. No, it shouldn't need a transmission. Well, a guy said it needs a transmission. I said, well, bring it over here. We brought it over to the shop, put it in the lift, pulled out the screen, blocked, filthy. If someone had just flushed the transmission a few times and done normal maintenance on it, it would have been fine. And we flushed it, and I think she still got the car.
I just want to point out we're on La Tuna Canyon Road,
right?
And we just passed another Rolls Royce, so very LA moment here on La Tuna.
I missed that.
That's
a ghost. It was a ghost.
You see yourself coming, like two girls with the same dress on at the party.
Yeah. Now we got to burn this thing to the ground.
Yeah.
Sean Walker Media, Jay's long stance on never buying a Ferrari. Is that true? Do you not have a Ferrari?
I do not. I never owned a Ferrari.
Is there any one that you're attracted to?
Well, I've always attracted to the mid-60s, the GTC.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one? Really? The 330?
Yeah, 330 or 360. I like the long nose, short, long hood rather, short rear deck.
Yeah.
I always liked that look. And I remember I went to look at one. The guy wanted $28,000 for it. And then the other car I looked at 3 miles away was a Lamborghini Espada for $24,500. I went, I could save almost $4,000 in the Lamborghini. And at the time, the Lamborghini had more horsepower, and it was a 4-cam, not a twin cam. And I said, and it's got 4 seats, really? Okay. I said, okay. So I bought the Espada. Now, in hindsight, I should have bought the Ferrari because the price went crazy on those. But I still have the Espada, and I still love it and enjoy it. No, my problem with Ferrari was not the cars. They're fabulous cars, wonderful cars. It was just the whole idea that, you know, you got to put Italian air in the tires and all that kind of nonsense. And you have to do this. And
Little precious.
yeah, before I'm allowed to buy it, I have to buy 2 Mondials. And I don't want to do that. So I just...
What is all this? Wow.
I don't know what they're doing here.
We got helicopters, fire trucks, emergency rescue,
And news
cameras,
crew.
telemundos here.
Whoa.
Yeah, something's up.
Some kind of Spanish accident. Let's find out what's
Lots
going
of
on.
guys standing around. Oh, we're gonna sing.
Hey guys, would somebody go over? Somebody go over?
Yeah, you can keep.
Okay. Oh, how you doing?
Went over here, sir. Yeah, we're good. Hey, Jay.
You.
Oh, ATF too. Look at this.
Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's why they wanted us to keep us
That's
moving.
why they just waved us through.
Oh, meth
It
lab.
was funny though. The one guy was like, "Keep it moving," and then like 3 guys were like, "That's Jay Leno."
Well, that's all right.
In an electric Rolls Royce in Tuna Canyon.
There you go.
La
Yes.
tuna. La tuna.
La Tuna.
La.
Sorry.
Yeah, la-
La
la-
Tuna.
la.
Why not? Like, money aside. Money aside. This guy's angrily passing you. Stopping to talk to the fireman. Ferrari, you're not attracted at all to a 250 short wheelbase or a GTO or...
I am, but not $5 million.
I'm not saying buying. I mean, because you
No, I like them. They're wonderful cars. I really do like them a lot. But at some point, it kind of stretches credulity there. You have to go. Is
I get the question.
$5 or $6 million.
Yeah,
car?
I'm saying forget about the money.
But I'm
Let's say everything's the same value. What would
Well, back in the day, everything was the same value, you
Yeah.
know. But the Spada and the Ferrari were pretty much the same. I mean, they were always fabulous cars, but not to the, you know, the idea of cars increasing in value the longer you have them
That's new.
fairly recent.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
recent, I mean like 30, 40 years. The idea that you would have something and sell it for more. I mean, that's the kind of disappointing thing I don't like about the car hobby is people buy it as an investment as opposed to just buying it as
Right.
as something of joy to have. Oh, this is fun. It's fun to drive. And the nice thing is, when I die, my family can sell it and get what I paid for it. You know, the idea that you lose money on a car. What are you talking about? It's supposed to go. You know,
Right.
yeah.
Have you driven a GTO?
I have driven the GTO. Yeah, wonderful cars.
And what
yeah.
did you think?
Great. The F40 is one of my favorites.
Now, what about modern, current, like a Roma? I could see you rocking a Roma.
Well, the Roma is, again, when I buy those kind of cars, I'm buying strictly for performance.
Yeah.
And the Roma is sort of a style car. I mean, I think it's a beautiful car. And
It goes pretty good. You put that thing in sport mode.
Yeah, but why not a Pista?
Okay.
That's an acceptable.
All right.
well,
driving
I have
experience.
296 GT.
I have the English equivalent of that, the P1 McLaren. I mean, I bought McLaren and Porsche because they treat me like a customer. You know, I go,
Right.
how much is this car? Oh, it costs this much. Okay, here's a check for that much, and I have the car. I don't have to give a guy named Ace in a check jacket 10 grand in an envelope and hand it to him later.
Ace?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, we're in
Check
LA.
jacket.
Yeah, you know. Yes. I mean, I like that. When I ordered my Carrera GT, I mean, before I got it, they sent me a book, and then I got like a jacket and a pen and pencils. I mean, all kinds of interesting things. And the car was delivered to my garage with 2 mechanics who showed us how to service it. We put it up on the lift. They showed us how to put the metal block pieces in there when you put it up. And oh, okay. Well, thank you. I mean, I don't think you get that with. At least you can get that with Ferrari back in the day. Well, I always told this story about my McLaren. I bought one of the very first MP4 12Cs. And I said, let me get the carbon fiber. The guy said, do you track the car? I said, no, not really. Because you'll never need it. Believe me, save 20 grand, you know. Oh, and I never regretted
that's
it.
very un-Ferrari.
I know, but I mean, I never forgot that. And, Anyway, I had my car, and when I got it, it had 570, whatever the horsepower was. And McLaren calls me after 6 months, go, hey, there's an upgrade. Brings it up to 616 horse, whatever it is. I said, well, how much is that? He goes, oh, no charge. To bring it in with, you know. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. And that's why I've sort of been committed to McLaren, because they do that. Same thing with my My P1, I paid exactly what the sticker said, and that seemed more than fair to me.
It's time to talk about AG1. I'd like to tell you about my daily AG1 routine because I've been really working on improving my health and being at optimum. And I'm talking optimum health levels for my tennis. And that day, when I wake up, I got two things on my mind. I've got work, I've got tennis. And I've got to be in shape for that 2 to 4 hours I play every day. And it starts not with coffee. That's the second thing I do. It starts with AG1. It makes me feel terrific. It sets me off in a healthy mood, and it gets me ready for a lot of exertion in the heat and on that tennis court. And I'll tell you what, people are crying because I'm hitting the ball so hard. And I thank AG1 for that. AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support and is backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you're putting into your body. I can tell you my forehand is 10 miles an hour faster thanks to AG1. And the FDA will back that up. They won't. AG1 is something you want to try. 97% of people in research studies felt more energetic after 30 days of drinking AG1. 91% of participants noticed they need less coffee after 60 days of drinking AG1. AG1 contains ingredients that support sustained energy so you can be the best version of yourself each and every day. With AG1, you might need less coffee to power you through the day. For 91% of those participants in the study, they drank AG1 instead. If there's one product I trust to support my whole body health, it's AG1, and that's why I've partnered with them for so long. Starting your journey with AG1 is a win. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply. 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/spike911. Go to the site, drinkag1.com/spike911. That's drinkag1.com/spike911. Check it out. Back to the electric Rolls.
Are you interested at all in any new McLaren?
Well, it's hard to beat the P1, you know.
Yeah,
in fact, I just got a thing from McLaren, a package about this big, about the size of a big suitcase. And it's an invitation to buy the next version of the P1.
The P2?
Really?
The P18, I think it's going to be called. And it's pages and pages of legal documents. What does it look like?
It's a contract?
Yeah, well, yeah. They're gauging interest, how many. They're going to build 399. And I go, I mean, it's hard to beat my...
So no idea what it looks like. No stats, no specs.
No.
Nothing, just P18. We're going to put an 8 after the 1.
You know, the one that...
And why the P18?
I don't know.
McLaren has this internal performance metric thing. So, like, the street car was the MC12 series.
Right.
At the time, the F1 car was like the 24.
You know what I did buy?
It's a nonsensical thing.
I bought the Mustang GTD.
Ah.
Okay.
Because
GT3 is too subtle.
I just like rooting for the home team. You know, I like American-made stuff. I like American-made work. Yes, I know.
He says from his Rolls Royce.
It's done in Canada, you know.
It is made in Canada.
That's right. But, I mean, there's just something about it. I have a lineage. I was there on April 17th when the Mustang was introduced as a kid.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I always sort of followed it. And I like the fact that when they come out with the Mach-E, the electric Mustang, was like, I guess so. All right, I guess it's a Mustang. So I like the fact that Ford decides to go back and reestablish their roots as a performance car by building something like the GTD. And you know, I don't believe they ever make any money on those, even though they're $300,000. The development costs and everything else of building something like that, and the liability, has just got to be crazy. So I like the fact that they do it. They're doing it for the love of the game, love of the sport.
I mean, this is what's great about having the CEO who races Cobras on the weekends.
You know, that's the greatest thing about American manufacturing now.
Oh, look at that guy just wiped on his tiny motorcycle. Sorry to interrupt. Jesus.
At least he wasn't wearing a helmet.
yeah, but I mean, I like the fact that all, like, you know, at General Motors, Ford, they're all car guys.
Yeah.
You know, Taj Dukner, who just retired. Head
Dearly
designer,
departed, yeah.
head engineer for Corvette. I mean, Corvette is the greatest sports car for the money you could buy. I mean, you've got something that's almost the equivalent of a McLaren for a third of the price.
I mean, you could sort of remove that almost. I mean,
That's right.
The Z06 is just great.
I mean, it's a fabulous
It's
car. You know,
incredible,
when they came out with the new C8, I thought, okay, it's going to have a single clutch transmission, and there'll be a lot of aluminum and cast. No, it's got magnesium. It's got carbon fiber.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a dual clutch transmission. I mean, it's a fabulous car. I mean, it really, with that center engine, it really drives. You know, I never realized how old-fashioned the C7 was.
Yeah, right?
Until I drove the C8, because when I turned the wheel, I turned like right now. I feel like I'm pivoting from right here where my hand is, you know, the armrest. Whereas the front, you're pivoting from the front, so it just goes. And I just thought they did just a fabulous job. So I like the fact that American mass manufacturing is equal to boutique manufacturing from a lot of Europeans, you know.
And where do you see the new ZR1? I can't say anything too specific, except for rear drive only, over 1,000 horsepower. It's gonna be,
well, I've got the
literally mental.
I got the very first Z1, serial number 001,
Oh, wow.
when I bought it in 2009, and I still have it. It's great. It's a fabulous car.
Yeah.
I mean,
When you say you were there for the launch of the Mustang,
no, I mean, as a kid, I followed
you weren't
it.
there. You weren't.
Well, I mean, I was at the dealership. You know,
You were,
the
yeah.
car was introduced April 17th, and you get a free donut and a hot dog, and you know that's what the car dealerships did. You know, they had drapes over the windows.
Oh, yeah.
And then at noon they dropped the window. Oh, you look through.
No
and you
way.
And then
That's
you're going.
fantastic.
You know, oh yeah.
Oh, my dad would tell me stories. Like,
Yeah,
you
new car.
go to the dealership.
Yeah, new car introductions was. Because don't forget, you didn't see cars when you grew up in a little town in New England.
Yeah.
You
right.
wait every month, new car issue next month. Oh, gee, and that's where you see the first picture.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go to the internet and press, you know, whatever.
I mean, I still remember when the Lexus first came out. My dad, you know, he found out the night that it was showing up at the dealership. And we went down there, and there was like, 50 people just want to see what a $40,000 Japanese car looked like.
Right.
It was crazy. And everyone was like, $40,000 for a Japanese car? You know, like,
Yeah.
But hey, it's a pretty good car. It might have been $20,000. I forget the price, but
No, that sounds about right.
yeah. But it was crazy. But it was fun. I remember, like, when the Hummer came out, same thing. Went down to the same dealer, looked at the Hummer.
What are you thinking about these days, Jay, for cars? Now that you've locked down this Rolls Royce,
Well, I'm just fixing all the broken stuff now.
I would imagine that's all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
your collection.
Yeah, there's just, well, you know.
But is there anything on the horizon that you look at other than this new
Well,
Mustang?
put it this way: if I do one oil change a day, it's 18 months. There's 320 vehicles on the road here.
Yes.
So if you do one oil change a day,
Yes.
hey.
So are you going for 365?
Well, there you go.
Do you still do a lot of work yourself on these things? Do you get pleasure out of that?
You know, I dabble. I got guys that are way smarter than me. They do. George does a great job, Bernard. You know, these are all. You know, I always tell car collectors, for the price of one car, you could have a guy who could keep all these things running and save your life.
Yeah.
You know, the number of times I've gotten in a car and the brake goes right to the floor because the fluid is just 10 years old or exhausted or whatever it might be, you know. I mean, I always tell guys, oh, what do we have here?
Looks like somebody in their broken down car. Loading up. He needs that advice that you just gave us.
But yeah, I mean, it's true. Most guys, they just don't do anything. Or they buy a beautiful car, then they go to Target or something and they buy a Chinese battery tender.
Right.
And, you know, the battery's dead. And, you know.
And it's C-Tech that we're supposed to use. Well, here we are. We're arriving back at Jay Leno's garage
C-Tech is the best, yeah.
after an amazing drive. Everyone intact. Johnny, are you car sick? Are you okay?
No, the opposite. I'm actually, I could go another hour. It's very comfy back here.
Yeah.
Also, Crocs and Rolls Royce. Let me tell you about a great combination.
Crocs and Rolls
Yeah,
Royce.
most people
He's
wouldn't
wearing
think of this,
Crocs
but
on his feet.
But I thought of this. It's great because the
Toddler shoes.
The rear AC, there's a floor vent, so I'm not wearing socks, so my feet are nice and cool.
Oh, there you go.
It's great.
Well, Jay, thanks for doing this with us.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm not sure what we accomplished, but hey.
What we accomplished is an hour of audio entertainment and hearing from our favorite car guy, the car guy, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Jay Leno.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's very nice. Well, I don't call I like it. I don't consider myself an expert or anything like that. I just have a lot of experience with them, and it's fun. You know, I think the real test is when you like a Corvair, you're as anxious to drive my turbocharged Corvair as I am the Carrera GT. You know, because each one is different. You know, some modern cars, if there's a problem, they're just boring. There's not a lot of difference. It's park, reverse. I love the fact that reverse is all the way over here on this car, and they're all, in the old days, they just tried everything.
If I could just point out, as he was saying, modern cars are boring, a shooting star flashed across his roof.
That's right.
Of his starry night.
You have the optional star.
Very boring shooting star.
Reminds me of a riff-raff song, Johnny. Maybe we should play it out. That's our show this week, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Good day, young people.
Oh, our people are old.
That's true.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday and be sure to subscribe. Now, I'm gonna take a nap.